There is, in fact, strong reason to believe that cheating is still happening on the LSAT. There are still cheating services being sold online, and there's clear evidence that the software used to cheat on the LSAT has not disappeared. Some of these cheating rings and organizations, these businesses, are even posting screenshots from recent LSATs, including the November LSAT, that do appear real. And that sort of detail matters more than most people realize because LSAT scores have been rising very fast. There's a lot of LSAT score inflation. And some of that is expected. Students are prepping better. People are retaking the LSAT more often. But when the score inflation lines up closely with reports of working cheating tools, admissions is going to start asking questions. And that is a real issue because the LSAT is one of the few tools that is supposed to mean the same thing for everyone when it comes to law schools evaluating students. And law schools are taking a closer look at very high LSAT scores and comparing them more carefully to grades. They're asking for more writing samples and doing more follow-up work on applicants who look too clean on paper. And when schools scrutinize high scores more, the burden falls on honest students also. And the students who earn those scores fairly now have to prove themselves again in other ways. And I've been teaching the LSAT for 20 years now, and I know that admissions officers are not lazy, but they are overwhelmed. They're reading literally thousands of files, and they have to rely on tools they can trust to make reasonable decisions. And there are credible claims that the same people who sold LSAT cheating are now selling cheating on law school exams using the same software, using the same tactics. We don't know the size of the problem, but it was recently happening at Cornell Law School. And there's a basic rule with online cheating where if it happens once, it usually happens more than once. And law schools should not treat this as a small risk, but rather as a warning. And so if I were a law school administrator right now, I would be extremely careful because this impacts trust in professional training. And of course, if you cheat in law school and you get caught, you're not going to become a lawyer. And of course, you might get caught once, you might get away with it once, you might get away with it twice, but you will not escape it forever. Character and fitness exists for a reason. You will have spent years and money chasing a shortcut that ends your career. And of course, even if you don't get caught, cheating does not prepare you for real law. Foundational law school courses are hard because they matter. Contracts, torts, Civ Pro are the basis of legal thinking. And if you don't understand them well enough to take an exam honestly, you will not be a capable lawyer. And the bar exam makes this even more clear because the bar exam is taken in person. There's no Wi-Fi during the exam. Everything is checked. Cheating is much harder, and the same material shows up again and again. Cheating only delays the moment of failure. Now, online testing for the LSAT did solve a real problem during the pandemic when testing centers were closed. And at that time, remote testing was the right move because there was no alternative. But it should have been temporary because what we're seeing now is the limit of that format. When the LSAT is online, it's harder to control. In-person testing solves a lot of these problems at once because everybody's in the same room, everyone follows the same rules, everybody faces the same limits, and of course, that doesn't eliminate cheating entirely, but it does reduce it and make it easier to catch. And so I think it's a good move that LSAC suspended online testing in mainland China, but I think they should discontinue the online testing everywhere because we live in a global internet-connected world. What happens in one country is not limited to that country alone, and LSAC is not doing enough to address the issue. There are reports that the cheating continued beyond October, and LSAC is not speaking enough about this publicly to instill confidence in the administration. LSAC has said clearly they know it's not limited just to China. They know it exists elsewhere, but we don't even know how large the problem is. And the questions for admissions are now, can I trust the LSAT scores I'm seeing right now? And can I trust they will mean the same thing next year? And so this is an existential issue for the LSAT, not because the LSAT is bad, but because the LSAT only works if people believe it is fair. And so I predict that at some point, possibly even next year, LSAC will move back to only in-person testing. And secondly, law schools will change how they test students. Possibly, they will resort to using physical blue books, closed closed book exams and at least one oral exam, which I think would be awesome because lawyers argue out loud, courts are spoken spaces, not written, and law school education is focused on writing. Oral exams are harder to cheat on, and they're closer to real practice. And so, of course, do not cheat. Shouldn't have to say that. Don't explore cheating. Don't talk to people offering help or DMing you on Reddit. Don't believe anyone who claims they can fix an LSAC hold on your report because that is a scam. The LSAT still matters because it measures real thinking, but LSAC has to maintain the validity of the exam with in-person testing only. And so to be clear, I do expect that law schools will continue to trust LSAT scores because they have no choice but to do so. And that is still the primary exam for law school admissions. But I do think they will be encouraging LSAC to resume in-person testing only to maximize the validity and the perceived accuracy of the LSAT scores.